Welcome back to another episode. Check out the progress. Had an hour and a half today and started doing a bit of framing up for the actual aviary section, and you'll probably start to see now what I meant by that we are changing a little bit. You can see that the height is better. Before we had the angle that come down like this. That was just going to be a bit of a pain to prevent me from walking in there, but now what I'm thinking, we've got three sections. We've got one section here which will go into two sections. So two sections will share an aviary section, but most likely this section will always be one section, especially because it's probably going to be young birds. So they don't really need to be split up for the first part of their racing season anyway, until they sort of start crowing and chasing hens. But it takes a while, 5 or so 6 months before they start getting too much interest in hens. So both of those can be open, and then they can share this area. This section is our trapping section, so most of the time this is going to be closed up. And then we've got the other section here, which will be for cocks or hens or whatever type of motivation. If we decide to race on the nest or something, like, I don't know, there's lots of options. So it's going to be good anyway. I'm just going to cruise along at the moment and not get overly complicated with things. We might separate the cocks and hens in the race season, especially the older ones. Just depends on numbers. If we might only have like 5 hens and then like 10 cocks, so we may separate them, but it just comes a bit harder when we go to fly them, when we loft fly them, because obviously I would prefer to fly them in larger flocks, just because it's safer around here with the falcons and things like that. So when we get to that, we'll deal with that situation, but it is looking pretty good. I'm going to explain this trap section for you. So basically this section here, it's about 1200 this way and 1200 that way, so it's an actual square section. This whole section here is actually the trap or the entrance for the loft, and what I'll do is I'll continue framing up. This is the last section that I'm going to do. I'm going to finish these two sections first, because even if we don't have the trap set up, we can still let our original birds out for flies, because they can find their way back in pretty easy. We'll go through that later on. But we will look at starting to frame all this section out over the next couple of weeks. Might be a bit of a delay given that the wedding and all that kind of stuff, and I don't have a lot of free time leading up to that. So I just tried to get this framing done. So most likely we'll have a landing board out here. I probably want it about waist to chest height, just so it's easy, manageable. And then we'll have an entry here where the birds will drop in, and on this side, which will be on the inside, then that's where my ETS will be. So the birds will come in. Most likely on race day, we'll probably just have the door open so that they can come straight in through that trap entrance. And we'll get around this way for a better. So they'll just fly in on the landing board and drop into this section. And then I can open up this sliding door, or the other sliding door that'll be here. There'll be a sliding door that just goes back, and they can come into whichever section they're in. But given on race day, we can put some water and all sorts of things, because if we've got ETS, we don't really need to be here a lot of the time. So we don't need to be. If life gets busy or whatever, we can still race, and we can have water, a little bit of food and stuff in there for them as well. So I'm really looking forward to having this type of trapping system. It's probably similar to what we've done before, but we've actually got a dedicated area for it, so we can bring those birds in, no stress at all, and then move them into their sections. That's pretty much the gist of it at the moment. And we've got this section here. I have ordered this grating, but they're about 2 weeks delay in getting it, so I'm gonna have to wait about 2 weeks to get this section in, which is crazy, but that's currently COVID. You know, COVID is a crazy times. And got our little young birds in here. A lot of people confused. I actually leave this food in here all the time, so that they've actually got a tray full of seed there, and you can see they've been picking through there, picking out all the nice little smaller ones. I'm not a huge fan on the corn and peas and lupins and things like that just yet, but they are eating as much as they want, which is really good. They're all starting to look pretty good. There's one of Shock's babies there. He's going to be an absolute stunning pigeon. He's very lanky, so he's got a lot of filling out to do. So I'm very eager to see how he turns out And he's got a sister here as well. She's going to be very beautiful. And there, little Thai Grizzle just relaxing there. And then the last little split Barless that's there as well, but don't know how they'll go. They're a bit funny those this round. I don't know what it is. And my current thinking is that I'll probably have a door here and a door here, so it's easier to get into this side or that side, so we can just open up the door, maybe a sliding door, we'll just see, and then we can go into whatever sections we want to. Oh, hey birds. And then we can just go in between sections pretty easily. So it's looking pretty good. It's going to take a little while to get into a system of actually figuring out how all this flows together and whatnot, but the trapping section there is definitely going to help things. And I do have a little bit of an angle so that this roof will angle back, and we most likely will use a similar roofing as this one here, like a semi-translucent, which blocks out a lot of the heat and sun but just lets through a little bit of light. You can see that's not too bad. Just into the aviary section, because the whole front will be wire anyway. I might block off the sides with a bit of wood or something like that and just have the front open, and that mainly to help a lot of the weather, because when the weather, I don't want the weather coming in, the rain. That's been a big thing for us this year. And a few people have been asking about Lil Shock. She's still here, she's still doing pretty good. She can actually get up onto these perches, so I really don't think she's ever going to fly again. But she's making a little bit of effort to get up there. I don't know if I want to breed from her though, so at the moment she's just hanging around here. We might keep her as a trapping bird. What I mean by that is when on race day we can probably have her in this section. She's not going to go very far. She can just cruise around in there and just lure those birds in. So she can be useful still, because she is very relaxed and sweet little pigeon. She might even coax them in a bit. And this red one here, if you didn't see the short video before, then that one's actually a hen. I thought that was a cockbird. I caught that one mating with one of the other red checkers from in here, so I quickly grabbed her and threw her in here. So there might be one more hen in there. It might be one of these more dilute silver things, but I have to keep an eye on it. That's all I've been doing. It's very hard to tell the difference between that one and there's another red one in there, which is this one here, because they both look identical, but one's a male, one's a female, and we've figured it out now. So split them up, keeping the hens separate for the time being. Still haven't had a chance to go through a lot of these hens. There's still probably those two that might go, and this Barless hen as well. She's a little bit injured from the hawks or power lines, so she might find a new home. And if you do remember, I had a hen that come back in the storm with 2 sore legs. There she is there, look at her. You can see she's got a little bit of a lump there on her foot. But apart from that, she's back in the loft, back in action. She's one of Leo Storm's little babies, so she's very strong. They're very strong birds in one. So she's back and she's out of the crate. I didn't really show much of her. I just kept forgetting about her, but she's healed up, back in the loft. And hopefully she might make it into the team this coming year. Let's see what the boys have been up to. I was only recently in here, gave this a bit of a clean out. But I've moved a few here and there. We probably need to get a few more perches set up. I have had this open as well for them so they can come in between the both. Once I get these aviary sections up and running, then they can go in there. But they're all pretty happy, but they're all getting pretty keen to get back out again. So most of these new ones, there's 8 new ones here. Like all these, we're going to try and break them in. Might try and breed this one, hopefully, with the white hen. Just not rushing into too much breeding at the moment. I just want to make sure that the last nest box we got is going to be filled well. I'd like to breed from this one, but I think we'll just break that one in, see how they go. And there's Big Beefcake still here too. And the main reason I just want to leave this trap system until the very last bit is I'm just waiting for my ETS and the clock to turn up with my pad and that, so I can get a really good idea of how we're going to set it up. I know the pad is about 76 centimeters long, so I'm just going to wait, but I've allowed extra room so the sliding doors can shut here, and then our ETS can sit on the inside, so it's going to work. It's going to be pretty good. But that's going to be it for the day, for this video anyway. Just give you a bit of an update on the aviary section. It has changed a fair bit, but this realistically is going to work a lot better. It gives me a lot more room, birds a lot more room, and also just like super easier with the trapping. Before we were looking at like a bit different one, but we're just keeping with the theme, keeping it all kind of square and straight, and one central trap as well, just so it's less confusing for the birds. They're only going to come in and out of sort of one area. So I'm going to catch you all in the next video. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. We're definitely making some progress forward slowly.